And just want to say thank you, everybody, for attending the webinar today. It's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so it looks like we'll get started here. I'd like to first introduce myself. My name is Christopher Myers. I'm on the marketing team for Bosch's Life Safety Services, and I cover not only the US, but also Canada as well. The topic that we'll be covering today is overcoming the challenges of fire safety in the paper industry. Just to let you know to start, just some of the considerations here. This webinar will be recorded as well as being able to be distributed after that is completed. You can also send some of the questions during the presentation just using the Q&A function that's provided there, and it's something that I can go over at the end of the webinar. And so if you do have any questions, feel free to do that. If you don't have any questions at the end, you always have the ability to contact me after the fact. I'll provide my email again. I don't think I have it on a slide, but I want to make sure that you at least have a resource out there to discuss this with if you had more than maybe just one specific question for that. So, okay, so as we get into our AVIOTEC camera, our video fire detection camera, and more specifically, its use within the pulp and paper industry, we want to tell the story here. And before you tell the story, we've had conversations with a lot of resources throughout the industry, where to go for information, getting feedback from safety managers or facility managers, things like that. And that feedback is really key because to really do anything, you need to understand where you fit. You need to understand those pain points and why AVIOTEC might be provided in one of these cases. So after much of that feedback and conversations, we've really gotten down to a few of these key goals for us. And that's, number one, ensure safety, life first, the facility and, anything that's within that facility. Looking at reasons for business interruptions. So, loss of stock due to a fire, damaged machines. And, if you do have a damaged machine, then the, repair would take a while, as well as the replacement cost for something like that could certainly be extremely expensive. And also just knowing the risks that are within a building and ways to minimize those risks so a fire doesn't start easily. And then also some of the maintenance activities and how you comply to certain policies, either just within your facility, within your county, within your area, etc. So certainly something that you want to do is at the end of the day, you want to take care of your facility and you also want to be policy compliant. That's most important. One of the, persons that we had a conversation with, you could see the quote here, and I'll just read the top part off, but, fear to go to the factory one morning and see that it's reduced to ashes. That's, I understand that's probably worst case scenario in some of these instances, but, it's something that you certainly always have to think about. So, ensuring safety within a building for, not only the people within that building, but the building itself is obviously extremely important. And, making sure that you provide all opportunities to do so is also important. So investment in cutting edge technologies, just enables a better return on your investment. And, you're able to do more outside of just protect and analyze, and we'll go into that a little bit more as we continue. But, by using those cutting edge technologies that reduce the need for human intervention and facilitate the control of a system, there are returns on investment with business continuity and long-term cost savings. Extremely important. So, excuse me. So looking again at pulp and paper industry, all different types of scenarios within a facility. You either need to look at, production areas where you have small to large machines, The risk within those machines could be conveyor belts going into the machine, hot surfaces, overheating machines, static electricity. All those types of things are focused specifically on that production area or that machine. So, again, single machine focus as opposed to, say, maybe a larger area focus. And we have service areas. So more fire risk due to damaged wires or equipment, boilers powered by flammable liquids or gases or sparks in those areas. And when you have sparks and there's dust or dirty environments, you just can fully understand that those risks will certainly increase the dirtier or dustier that environment would be. And then we also want to focus a little bit on storage areas. So those storage areas typically are outside but up close to the building, have some sort of sheltered area over them, something to give it a little extra than just be fully in outside elements. But in those areas, wood chips, recycled cardboard, chemicals, flammable liquids, those are all things that, typically go in those types of areas and are all, high fire load. So again, specific challenges to require a solution. So, multiple things to look at. So high fire load, so storage of highly combustible material, a combination with the manufacturing process, kind of what we talked about with the machine where, something's coming in from external to internal and, all that environment is certainly unpredictable. um, the difficult environment in itself within a building or even outside of that building. So paper dust, um, dirty, dusty, humid, we don't focus on a lot of these maybe industrial facilities or, obviously now we're talking about the pulp and paper industry. It's not something that at the end of the week everybody goes through with a dustpan and a broom. And when you walk out of there, you could probably eat off the floor. These are areas where people work hard, work quickly, and these products are something that we want to get out as quickly as possible as well too. And then again with the outside storage areas, you always have challenging climate conditions that you have to be aware of. So, you know, all of these specific challenges would require something additionally on top of, say, your traditional fire detection systems that as you could probably tell or have experienced in the past, could take a long time to identify a fire. So in this particular case, AVIOTEC video fire detection camera, our Starlight IP8000 camera, is your fire safety solution when you can't rely on that traditional fire detection system. For example, in a building like that, if you have a smoke plume and you have a traditional fire system, that smoke detector that's at the ceiling, based on the climate, based on, all those factors that we've, just talked about already, you never really know when that smoke would get up to that standard smoke detector. It could be minutes. So looking at the source with Aviotech, it's something that we want to get within seconds. Okay, so looking at just some of the use cases here. So, um, excuse me, again, when traditional fire solution is slower to alert with, your standard fire cases, identifying flame or smoke within seconds is how we want to overcome that. It's going to be detection directly at the source. The height is independent of detection, and it does also work well in bad lighting conditions. So everybody's facility is different, so we want to make sure that Aviotech would be available for almost any of these types of conditions. So again, a fire would start fast directly at the source. And we want to be able to analyze that video source as well too. So even later, we can further grant better safety, kind of knowing the situation at hand. And at the end of the day, we want a quick reaction to increase safety to avoid evacuations and or business interruption. So as we kind of stated at the beginning, if you have a business interruption or have to replace a machine, that's extremely expensive. Now, um, detection in difficult environments and the challenge, working problems for regular fire detectors due to humid and those dusty environments. So again, dust will impede fire detection. It increases your safety risks. It increases false alarms. So AVIOTEC slides in again when that traditional fire detection is not uh, appropriate. And then you also would have a housing that you could protect that camera from any of those outside elements, whether it be outside elements or the dirt, the dust, things like that. And stuff that would also um, probably do more damage to a standard fire detection pieces like a smoke detector or linear detector, something like that. So a beam, something like that. So those dirty, dusty environments tend to be a lot more harsh on traditional ways to do fire. And also easy maintenance for these in these types of difficult environments. So um, typically with the traditional style, you have an increased maintenance effort. So whether you have a conventional or an addressable system, so if you know or don't know exactly where that detector is, the service on those can certainly get extremely high. Easy maintenance with AVIOTEC, that's not a problem. So, and you're compliant with that housing. So you're not only going to get compliance, but an easier maintenance measures. Day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And then also with the sheltered outdoor, the outdoor storage areas with highly combustible material, this new solution based on stuff that you've never really seen before for these outside environments. Typically, people go with something like thermal or something of that matter, where Aviotech is taking into consideration these outside conditions, hitting it directly at the source. And again, it's something that we can do within seconds as opposed to having to wait or decide if it's a false alarm or not. So as we kind of move all this together, the sum up of why Aviotech in the pulp and paper industry. It's early fire and smoke detection within seconds. It works in harsh environments. It's the only solution for fast outdoor fire and smoke detection. Traditional fire detection is really not available for outdoors at all. And successfully implemented already in pulp and paper. And that's the other part that's extremely important is seeing this work already in these types of environments and us having the success that we've had with this camera, makes us super pumped to talk about this type of solution and make sure that anybody that has any of these types of conditions within their facility just get knowledge on this product and be able to decide for themselves if, this is something that they want to implement within their facility for additional safety measures. So how does Aviotech work in general? So, looking at this slide here, let me just hit one more time. There we go. The black and white mode, it is a faster detection because of the selected video sequence. In color mode, it does take a little bit longer because we have the whole video sequence and the flame or smoke needs to start to be detected here. So I'll let this go through, and you can kind of get an idea on what looking at the source would be like here in some of the demos that we provided. Just gonna let that go through just for another second. And you can see it's still constantly looking and identifying that on the bottom left there. Perfect. Now, how does how does it work? So again, you see that flame or smoke at the scene. The algorithm that is integrated into the camera. So again, it's not a software-based system. It is directly in the camera, and it'll analyze that scene in real time at the source, and then that'll live stream, and alarms are transmitted via a network to the monitoring center. Now, because I did mention here um, the algorithm within the camera, so it's at the source. I know one question, and I'll just answer that now, would be, well, aren't there other analytics that are involved in these cameras? And that answer is yes. It's still a Starlight IP 8000 camera. We've added in the smoke and flame algorithm to make the camera even better. But the flame and smoke algorithm will also work in parallel with all the other standard IVA functions. So it's kind of a hybrid in a way, for additional safety or security measures. So looking at those models separately, because they will alarm separately, you have the physical flame model. And the characteristics that we're looking at with a flame would be that core or shape, the flickering effect, and then the illuminance rating that is on there. Looking at the smoke model, it's that motion of your transparent objects, upwards or sidewards movement. So again, as we move into the outdoor sphere, different climate conditions are always going to be there. We even see this in indoor climates as well, where you do get some sidewards movement based on the environment within that facility, and that's why it's again, and I hate to kind of beat a dead horse, but in this case with sidewards movement, it's never going to get up to a standard smoke detector or a beam or something like that. So it really is, when traditional fire detection is not available, AVIOTEC is the way to go. And then distinguishing between uprising smoke and objects. Now, the technology behind it, we're looking at all these characteristics. The camera is analyzing at the scene constantly, your density, turbulence analysis, color analysis, motion analysis. So all these things are going on behind the scenes. Um, and that's your supported AI. All at the same time, it's determining, what is this? Is this smoke? Is this flame? Do I need to go into an alarm? Is this something that's trying to trick the system? So basically what the system is constantly doing is thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking, and then it's deciding, is it a flame or is it not a flame? Is it smoke or is this not traditional smoke? So it's your combination of a physical algorithm with artificial intelligence, um, gives you more input into the AI alarm decision. Um, Minimum illumination levels reduced now to 2 lux, which, if you look at, say, even competition in this sphere, I would certainly put AVIOTEC up against anything else out there. And you also have a higher detection range, so more false alarm robustness. And that's something that we're constantly working on as well too. As AVIOTEC moves forward into the future, we're always going to do everything that we can to better the algorithm, add to that algorithm. Certainly in just the last few years that AVIOTEC has been available, we have certainly done so. And most importantly, any of the updates that we do have would be available for free to our users via their firmware updates right on our product page. So the more that we do with the camera, the more that anybody will get as their journey with AVIOTEC continues as well. Now, let's look at some references. References are important, as I kind of stated earlier, because, you're not the guinea pig. We aren't in the space now where we're still wondering if AVIOTEC is the right solution or is a good solution. We've had a lot of success with this camera. And, when we look at those specific pain points, we really want to make sure that it is a technology that's available for people in these crazy, crazy environment. So here in Ecuador, and I'll let you read through some of these, a dusty environment. Uh, AVIOTEC was able to overcome that, which really made it unique, especially in that area, because in Ecuador at the time they didn't have anything else outside of traditional fire detection available to them. uh, one in Germany here at one of our waste paper headquarters. They needed additional fire monitoring. The standard fire detection system has limits, and they faced a huge dust rise. So again, in that dusty environment, AVIOTEC was able to um, plan itself is a viable solution to get around that. And then one of our cardboard factory warehouses in Chile. So due to independency from ceiling height and the video image, AVIOTEC can cover more than just one level of shelves. And it's a cheaper solution than some of the standard solutions. So this was somebody that had shelving for their products. There's also larger distribution centers that this would work very well with also. So it's something that that field of view at the source is going to be very good for you, even if stuff is mounting on racks, etc. So, placement of cameras is important, and we offer a lot of resources to our users or to our system integrators to prepare themselves in advance for placing these cameras and what the coverage areas would look like, etc. So again, I would certainly recommend anybody to go to the product page for AVIOTEC and take a look at just some of the marketing tools that we have, the planning tool that's available to look at coverage areas, things like that. So some cool information that's out there, on top of what we've provided for you today. And then here in the very near future, so our outdoor storage, which currently is a proof of concept, it's something that we'll be releasing hopefully at the end of the month. So probably sometime within the next, say, 30 to 60 days, we'll have this outdoor release available. So different weather resistant or hazardous materials stored outside may ignite. So, that stuff would spread fast and would cause not only damage to the surrounding area of that outdoor area, but that actually may pull these fires inside and more damage to the whole facility. So, having this technology available very soon for these, somewhat outdoor environments is definitely going to be huge for us because it's providing a solution for a lot of people that had nothing that they could put there previously. So that's all I have for you guys today. Looking at just kind of the story of Aviotech and pulp and paper. Again, very important to know pain points. If you're not specifically in pulp and paper, pain points are still very important as well. So understanding your risks, understanding what you're trying to cover, your as we continue with Aviotech and have these discussions, you'll understand it more and more what to be looking for and how Aviotech can overcome that with its technology. So we have the QR code here, and if you guys want to scan that, you can do a book your demo. So it would get you put in the system. Somebody would contact you. We'd go through that process of your situation, what you're looking for, how we can help, and certainly provide you hopefully with all the resources that you would need to decide whether or not Aviotech would be a good solution for you or not. Now, I will stop sharing my screen here, and what I will do is let me go over to the Q&A. And a few of the questions that certainly we've had a lot in the past would be which systems can process Aviotech alarms? So they are again transmitted via metadata relay or ONVIF. What effort to configure the camera? So no need to configure because to configure in the camera itself, some parameters can be set if needed. It's very, very easy to go through that configuration process. So how do I see the alarm? Seeing the alarm depends on the management system that's used. So you can use the web interface, or I would suggest going to the operation guide just to see what specifically is available to see that alarm. And then third-party management systems. So I have obviously we would probably want you to use the Bosch video management system. First and foremost, that would be the best case scenario. But we are compliant with Milestone, CTEC, and Genetec as well. I have what are the detection distances? Well, we actually have a few different lens options. We had a release about maybe a year and a half ago or so, that was specific to tunnel applications. So because of some of those distance restrictions, we provided some other lens options. What I would do is go right to the product page, and what it'll do is it'll show you some of those distance restrictions. And for each lens, it'll show you exactly what those restrictions would be, how far you can go. Plus, it also depends a little bit on, coverage area, things like that. So, it depends really a lot on the scenario before I get into, I guess, just a standard distance for you. Will Bosch be adding the algorithm to any other cameras? Great question. Currently at this time, I would say no. It is something that, our business unit has been looking into. Um, we're constantly, as I stated, updating the algorithm more and more and trying to make this the best solution possible. Originally the minimum illumination level was like 7 lux, now down to 2 lux and 0 lux in certain instances. So as you can see with all these firmware updates, we're constantly updating the camera itself and what it can do. From a standpoint of other camera options, we are looking into it. I wouldn't hold your breath, say anything in the next, say, 6 months or so. But we have discussed some other options that could be available as I think we move further into the outdoor space. That'll probably have to be something that we do, looking at different housing, different camera options, etc. So certainly take a look, or kind of keep your eye on something like that. And if we do decide to go to a different camera option, you would probably hear about it because Bosch would make that um, common knowledge for everyone. So we would do a very large release for that, letting people know. Um, so does this camera receive any fire approvals as a fire detection device? That actually kind of goes in with the previous question. The Starlight IP8000 right now currently only provides one relay on the back of the camera. So due to the lack there, we don't currently have, say, UL approval. Uh, when we decide to either update that specific camera or venture to another style camera to add the algorithm, UL is something that we would certainly go for at that time. For some of our non-US people, if they are on here, we do offer VDS certification, which is something that's more of a European certification. But we are selling this camera as supplemental, so we are not 100%. Now, I'll yell this if I have to. We're not replacing traditional fire detection. We're adding to it. So it is sold as a supplemental device, and that's where we're going there. Okay. And what do you mean by accurate on the detection rate? I guess it's a tough question because I mean, in these cases, every environment's different. So, um, Peter, what I can do is I'm going to put your name down here. I'll provide you some information specifically for you that talks a little bit about that, but it also talk a little bit about some of the different environments that we use with it. So, I want to make sure that I provide you with the right information so we can kind of go back and forth there. So, just from the camera. Perfect. So I think that at this point would be, I would say, just about all of the questions that we have here. I do want to make sure that everybody fully understands. Um, if you've registered for this, we will send you an alert after the fact. We want to make sure that we provide you with this information, a recording of this if you need, any other additional information for Aviotech. I would certainly suggest if you do need some additional information, uh, shoot me an email, give me a call. Once we send all that information out to you guys, just reply right back and we can have some additional conversations and talk about it a little bit more. So we want to make sure that everybody has all the right resources and information for us to provide. So hopefully we can do so. But at that point, I certainly want to say thank you to everybody who was able to attend today. Hopefully we have another conversation in the near future and you consider Aviotech to be a solution that you might provide for an end user, or if you are an end user, provide for yourself. So um, that would be great. Again, thank you everybody for attending today, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.